Patrick Finero here, co-founder at Vetted Biz. Excited to have on Brian Scudamore, who's the founder and CEO of 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Since I've started studying this brand, I've seen the truck everywhere, whether it's in Miami Beach or traveling. Amazing branding. Brian's also leads O2E Brands that has a few other service franchise concepts under that. Brian, thanks so much for joining today.
Yeah, happy to be here, Patrick. Happy to know that our marketing is working and that our trucks are following you and you're seeing them around everywhere. It's always been the biggest part of how we've grown our businesses is get all our vehicles out there, big mobile billboards, 1-800-GOT-JUNK or Shack Shine, whatever the brand is, and people see the vehicle and they pick up the phone and they call. So it works.
Yeah, and it seems like a virtuous circle where they see it, you get a client in, maybe there's no connection to 1-800-GOT-JUNK or Shack Shine, but from what I understand, reading your book, your client referral rate's like 50%, where customers are just coming from other customers. So
yeah, you take care of. So our formula of growth is simple. You take care of your people. So our employees, our franchise owners, if we take care of our people, they will take care of the customer. If we take care of the customer will take care of our growth, our reputation, our profits, our referability. It's simple. Most people focus on the customer. We disagree. We feel focus on your people, your employees, take care of them, and they will take care of everything else.
From your book, I mean, there was a lot of concepts that I could relate to. I'm part of Entrepreneurial Organization. I know you joined YEO. Yeah, I believe the predecessor group.
Yeah.
And a lot of what you've read is a lot of the items that my brother and I have kind of gone to and systems, whether it was EOS or scaling up with Vern Harnish and a lot of the other books that you mentioned and that you draw motivation from. And WTF, willing to fail, you coupled that a lot with the real experience. And one thing that I saw was you took a major step back. I believe it was when you were in Montreal or maybe in Toronto, where you decided to fire all 11 of your employees. So taking a step back and go to running the business yourself. And I'm sure that impacted revenue and what it wasn't what you wanted to do, but would love if you could share a bit on that, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So let me take you back to the very beginning. So briefly, I started my company 1989, right out of high school, looking for a way to pay for college because I didn't finish high school. And I'm in a McDonald's drive-thru. I see a beat up old pickup in front of me. It said Mark's Hauling on the side. I buy a truck. A week later, I start hauling junk. I didn't know anything about business. Now, while this ironically funded my college education, starting 1-800-GOT-JUNK, or what was called the Rubbish Boys at the time, inspired me to drop out. I was learning much more about business running one than I was studying in school. So with a year left in my degree, I left and I said, hey, Dad, guess what? Got some good news. Quitting school, becoming a full-time junk man. He thought I was nuts. But I started to build the business. Now, as you referenced, over the next 5 years, I fired my entire team 5 years after starting my business. And that was because me as the entrepreneur, I didn't have the training. I didn't have the experience yet. I didn't know what it was to find the right people, how to treat them right. I didn't know what I was looking for. I thought junk removal, you just need couple of strong guys working in the trucks, hauling junk.
You pay them in cash or pay them however, and they're going to do the job.
Exactly. But I needed smiley, friendly, happy people that saw the opportunity to build what I wanted to build. So in 1994, I fired my entire company. One bad apple spoils the whole bunch. I had 9 out of 11 that were just not the right fit for me. So I brought all 11 into a room in the morning. And I remember sitting down there and I started with 2 important words. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I let them down as their leader, didn't find the right people, treat them right. It was time to make a change. And I started again. And like you alluded to, it wasn't what I wanted to do. But if I was to build and grow a great brand for the long term, I had to learn that lesson. And I'm wearing the hat today that says it's all about people. It's one of my favorite hats to wear because, as I said, you find the right people and treat them right, it takes care of everything else. You talk about Vern Harnish, who's been an incredible friend and mentor of mine since 1994. He's a guy who will say, one great person is worth 3 good people. Why not find just that rock star and groom them and love them and take care of them and make sure that they can really help you build an unbelievable business? So firing my entire team, as painful as it was one of my greatest lessons, greatest failures, but greatest lessons in learning as an entrepreneur.
And then I don't want to harp so much on the failures, but I learned a lot from your failures as well as other people's failures, especially my failures the most. But that kind of mentality, the founder's mentality, and having extreme ownership. From what I understand, you grew 8 corporate units, but it just didn't work out. Could you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah. So we started corporately, my own business. I franchised and put Paul Guy, who was our first operations manager, into place. I put him in Toronto and I said, you're spending so much time there visiting your girlfriend. Why don't you go start the business? He drove a truck across the country and he started a business that he did $1 million in his first full calendar year. He did more revenue. It took me 8 years to get to $1 million. He did it in a year because we started to have the processes and systems on which to grow. But having someone else come in and learning from my mistakes, so we didn't have to recreate some of these mistakes, things just started to take off and the momentum was there in a massive way. So failures are tough, but I think as an entrepreneur, you said we've got to embrace those. We've got to learn from, why did I make this mistake and how will it make my business better? How will it make my people better? Leaders today are getting better at being able to be vulnerable and admit their mistakes. But 30 years ago, I remember people, don't talk to me about failure. I'm the guy in charge. People would hold back and they wouldn't sort of fess up what they did wrong.
Yeah. And it takes some time to check the ego, even today.
It does. It's hard. But when you can say, here's a story. We have a franchise partner that we're exiting right now, who I don't think is the worst person in the world. We're not seeing eye to eye, but I had a conversation with him yesterday and I said, I'm sorry. I said I was sorry for the part that he didn't experience to be as great as he expected or to be as strong of a fit as he expected. And being able to say sorry has helped both of us come together to at least work on an amicable, respectful exit. We don't always pick the right people. That's okay. And he'll go on to run a business maybe in the same space and do even better than he did with us. That's okay. But you got to be able to check the ego and go, hey, Brian, I screwed up here and I'm sorry.
At the end of the day, you brought him into the system and you had processes to recruit franchisees. You brought him in and
we made a decision that didn't pay off to be the right one. That is okay. You're not always going to pick winners. You mentioned you've done a lot of deals bringing people to us. Thank you. Wow One Day Painting, where we paint people's homes in a day, or Shack Shine, where we shine their shacks, clean their gutters, their power washing, Christmas lights. We try really hard to be selective to bring the right people in. We depend on our people that we're bringing in to be completely honest and say, here's my good, my bad, the ugly about who I am. Is it a fit? And we get pretty good results in finding the right fit, but not always. And I think you're never going to find a franchise system out there that fires on all cylinders and always gets it right. You've got to be, as my book is entitled, being willing to fail, to make some mistakes, to take some risks. And it happens. Here's one for you. We had Tim Milner in Wow One Day Painting in Washington, D.C. He's a great franchise partner of ours. He's also a member of EO, the Entrepreneurial Organization. When he first came in and was interviewed in the whole bit, we're like, you're too young, you're too green and inexperienced. You can't do this. And we actually said no. He kept coming back to us and he said, guys, I can do this. Trust me. What do I need to do to prove to you that I can do this? So we thought about it and we said, okay, he's persistent. Go work with your franchise partner that neighbors where you would be buying.
Started as an employee.
And he went and worked with Craig for a few months. And Craig calls me up, our franchise owner, another EO member. And Craig goes, listen, this guy is so good. I get he's young. He is so good that if you do not bring him on as a franchise partner, I'm going to invest in him and put him in a business. So we took a flyer, we took a risk, and Tim has been unbelievable.
Well, that's kind of like the Chick-fil-A Domino's model where a lot of their franchisees are coming up as employees.
Yeah, I love their model because you get somebody, and I've talked to execs at Domino's, you get somebody who starts by delivering pizzas and making pizzas. By the time they become a franchise owner, they understand every part of that machine and what it takes to be successful. No job is, they're not better than any job in the business.
Exactly.
They can do it all.
Yeah, the level of empathy with everyone, the customers, whoever, the outsource, anyone, they've been that and they started at the bottom effectively. So.
Yeah, and how can you not be a great franchise owner without understanding what it takes to excel at the bottom?
And tell me a little bit, at Vetted Biz, we have a database of thousands of franchises, and sadly, we calculate a lot of the franchises, the resale value is less than the initial investment. So effectively, imagine you open up a sandwich franchise, you invest $350K, you go on Biz Buy Sell, you see a ton for sale at $150K. So effectively, it doesn't make any sense to start the business, that sweat equity, time, and everything that goes in, and look at 1-800-Got-Junk, Shackshine using multiples on earnings, even on sales, depending on the recurring nature, revenue nature of some of your businesses. Like, seems like they get their money back and a lot more if and when they might want to exit the franchise system.
Yeah, especially with 1-800-Got-Junk. So I'll be clear that Wow One Day and Shackshine are newer. They've been in business less than 10 years, where 1-800-Got-Junk has been in business for over 30. It's much more established. We figured out all the systems. We know how to make that machine hum. So selling a 1-800-Got-Junk franchise, people internally will pay off in 1 times revenue. If you built a $5 million business, someone buys it for $5 million. That's been
the first
where it's
round
gone.
would be fellow franchisees would want to take that up and go into adjacent territory.
Exactly. They want to buy it because they know they can continue to make more money in a formula that's worked for them. Now, Shackshine and Wow One Day will get there at some point. But as you mentioned, I mean, the resale is decent, but we don't want people selling yet. We had people come in at 1-800-Got-Junk.
Million, 1.5 million in revenue, and then
5, 10.
Never again start thinking about the resales.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And tell me about the 4 H's. Obviously, I love the happiness. Happy people spread happiness, whether it's franchisee to employees to the customer. But curious if you could elaborate a little bit on that, as well as other 3 H's.
Yeah, for sure. So what we did is we decided, to define what is a successful franchise partner in the most general terms. And we said, when we're looking for someone to be a franchise owner with any of our brands, we want them to be these 4 things. They happen to be H's. It wasn't like we set out to market this. Happy, hungry, hardworking, and hands-on. Now, happy. We are happy, fun, optimistic people. The person we're trying to get out of our business right now that I talked about just is not a happy, half-glass, full type person. Doesn't fit with our business. And again, that's okay. But we want happy people who see a bright future and who will be passionate about chasing it. Hardworking. We need people that are willing to roll up their sleeves and go like, I am going to make this work. If it's to be, it's up to me. Hands-on. We are not looking for, and we've tried this model and it has not worked. We're not looking for investors. We're not looking for someone to come in and go, I'm going to buy a Shackshine and have someone else run it. We need them to be completely hands-on in the business, learning the business like our 1-800-Got-Junk franchise partners did, until such time that they get to a point that they can go, okay, I can have a manager. I can get more units and scale them. We just don't want them getting out of that hardworking, hands-on role too soon. And then lastly is hungry. We want someone that comes in and goes, yeah, I need this to work. I'm going to do everything I can to make this business work. Someone, again, who comes as an investor and goes, yeah, if my Shackshine doesn't really work, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, we can't have that. That doesn't work for us. It might work for other models, but not for ours. So
I find it extremely difficult. And there's very few models that can replicate the absentee owner. And I saw one of your YouTube shorts where you say, there's the free franchise or zero money down, and it's a family friend, relative, your dad doing the investment. And you're that really hungry franchisee that's going to meet those 4 attributes. Yeah. But the capital is coming from somewhere. And if you want to be the investor and get a return on your investment, you got to come with that operator in hand. And ideally, it's someone that you really trust. And after 2 bad months, they're not going to want to get out. And
for sure. The only time we've seen the investor model really work for us is bank of mom and dad. So if I'm a franchise owner and I'm, in my 20s and I just really want to do this and I beg my parents for the money, and they're willing to help me by being an investor and maybe a bit of a consultant to the business. Yeah. You can't burn a relationship with your mom and dad. They're your mom and dad.
The dad or mom's the executive chairman, and then there's the owner operator.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that we've seen work. We've seen, Noah in 1-800-Got-Junk, his dad's an orthopedic surgeon, bought the business. His son was the operator. And until such time that Noah could come in and buy out his dad and grow this empire, that does work.
Yeah, I like that. I think there's just a lot of people selling like the dream. And you obviously have a very long-term vision with the business. And sadly, a lot of franchise systems, they have certain stakeholders that they need to hit a certain unit count or they need to hit certain metrics and sell certain territory that long run, it's not good for anyone, especially not for the franchisee that's taking a lot of their time and capital and into that business.
Yeah. Again, the hat says it's all about people. Like, it's finding those right franchise owners where it works for both sides. And so we are very, very slow to hire, slow to recruit to get people in. But once we know we've made a mistake, we got to get that person out for their sake and ours. And so it's unfortunate when it happens that there isn't the right fit, but thankfully we most often get it right.
In your book, I read the passage where you go to Mexico or somewhere in tropical area with some heavy hitter executives in waste management that effectively said, we're willing to offer 75 million plus for your business. And what were some of your thoughts? Because that money you could apply and do other things that kind of fit your core values. And what were some of your thoughts with saying, hey, this isn't done yet. I need to keep growing this.
Yeah. So I was actually fairly close to our head office in Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. They took me to a fishing resort about an hour float plane away. We were in the middle of nowhere. I'm with two garbage execs, right? Nice guys, but they're still in waste management. And I'm on this little tiny fishing boat, so far from shore. They offer to buy my company and I say no. And I'm thinking I'm getting thrown overboard here. This is going to be like an episode of The Sopranos. I've kept in touch with them and they're good friends today. But here's what was interesting is they said, we would buy your company. We're talking 75 to 100 million bucks. At that time, that would have been more money than I would have ever known what to do with. And I could have, as you said, lived my passion. But this is my passion. Finding amazing people and doing amazing things together. We are changing lives. And I love that. I wouldn't want to sell off that baby, so to speak. I wanted to keep on building it. So I said to Waste Management, I go, you guys could give me $1 billion, which is ridiculous. Yeah. And I still wouldn't sell. And so I've stuck to that. And it's paid dividends in the sense that I am living my purpose each and every day of helping others realize their dreams of business ownership. It's strange, but so many people I know that have sold businesses are not very happy with their decision. Now, financially, they might have been happy, but money doesn't buy happiness.
Small facet of your life, like after a certain net worth, then there's all these other parts of your life. And that's only just one part of it.
Exactly. I love working with my team. I love connecting with franchise owners. Why would I give that up? And I have people that I know through EO, as you probably do as well, that have exited businesses and they're still chasing what's my next business? What am I going to do with this money? Yes, you get to go out and have some freedom and have fun and buy a fancy car or boat, whatever. But that starts to go away and you're just like, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I think it comes down to what you really love to do. And for a lot of entrepreneurs, we love what we're doing, and we could be doing a lot of different things. But for many years, we continue to strive in this way, or you switch. You could imagine for your situation, you could keep growing 100 got junk across 100 plus countries. But if someone's interested in expanding beyond their industry, there's ways to do that without exiting the structure that you have.
Yeah. When I started going, I need something else to do here, I added on Wow One Day Painting and then Shack Shine. And, so there's other ways, as you said. And I think one of the things I love the most about EO, the entrepreneur organization, is you've got all these people that come together with a shared common passion of growing things.
Yes.
And if one thing gets bored, add on another part to your business. You don't have to completely exit. And there's plenty of ways to continue to be happy.
And I think, there's something big where, I don't know if it's, you've been in the franchise space longer than me. For me, it's been about 10 years, but it seems like an increased number of private equity funds and just brands, every week, there's brands being bought and sold. And sometimes it's a lot better with the new owner, but I've seen other times where it's not. And the new owner is trying to extract as much money from the franchise contract that could be 10 years as possible. So I'd imagine a lot of franchisees that are entering the system with, it's, you you doing business with Brian and extent of Brian with his team, and he's not going anywhere for the next 10 years, 20 years. So you can keep renewing that contract.
Yeah, when I've said to franchise owners when they come in, I will never sell.
Yeah.
I get we don't all live forever, and things change, but it's like my motivation for building what I'm building is way beyond the money. It's really about watching people have fun, taking care of their people, watching customers smile. Like it's an incredible life, and I love what I do. I couldn't imagine selling that. I mean, do you have kids?
I have 18-month daughter and another baby on the way.
Oh, congrats. So you got a couple or one more on the way. I've got 3. And the analogy, I've got 3 businesses, 3 kids. When you're having so much fun, like, why would I sell any of my kids? Like there's days where you're like, hey, I want to put my little son up for sale, that little, but it's generally speaking, like it's everything. And it's, you love watching them continue to grow and thrive and evolve. And it's a lot of fun. It really is.
Any thoughts for like first-time entrepreneurs? Imagine capital's not such a big constraint where you have the opportunity for a franchise resale, say with an O2E brand, or starting from zero, effectively new territory.
Yeah. For first-time entrepreneur, and I'm not trying to just be overly promotional here, but that's my second book, BYOB, which is Build Your Own Business, Be Your Own Boss. I have a conversation with someone in about a 90-minute, hour and a half, grab a beer, BYOB, bring a beer to the table and read that book. And what I want people to do is to have a conversation with me through the book and with themselves to say, do I start a business from scratch like Brian did?
Yeah.
Do I build a business as a franchise and follow someone's proven recipe like many of your clients would? So both formulas are okay. I need to be someone that creates. When I cook a recipe at home, I'm cooking. I look at a recipe for inspiration, but I do it completely my own way. That's just the way I roll. Most people want to actually go, okay, I want to bake a cake. I'm going to pick a 5-star recipe. I'm going to follow it step by step, the right measurements and temperatures and success. So I get people to really investigate in that book, what type of entrepreneur are they? And one of the stories I tell in there of someone that I've gotten to meet and know a little bit over the last couple of years is Shaquille O'Neal. Everyone knows Shaq, right? And what I love about Shaq, when I first met with him, I understood. I said, well, why are you building businesses? He's like the franchise king. And he said, listen, I get to take everything that I understood to be successful in basketball, building a winning team, having a positive attitude, working hard, setting goals, a vision, the whole bit. I can take that from sports that I'm no longer involved in, but apply it to business. I can take a proven formula in franchising and do everything I did in basketball. Put in a winning team, hold them accountable, make sure we're winning. And he's been super successful to the point of I think
across maybe 8 brands over the years.
Yeah, exactly. So, what Shaq would say is not everybody needs to build the race car. Some people just want to drive it. So my book is really investigating that. What type of person are you, with some step-by-step how to find out.
Well, we'll definitely include a link to that. And I love how you break it down, because effectively there are a lot of options, whether it's starting a franchise from zero, buying an existing franchise, buying an existing business, or just you have your own startup idea and you go from there.
Yeah. And if you're putting a link in, I'll even go so far as to say, if there's someone that listens to this that goes, I want to copy of the book, I want a signed copy, send me a note on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever it is, at Brian Scudamore. Just tell me why you're excited to read the book, and I'll pick someone and send off a copy of the book for free.
Do you have any other books that are on the radar or you're currently working on?
Our third one, which is a ways out, we started writing it, is along the lines of, can you imagine? What can you imagine as an envisioned future for yourself, for your business? Why do we do what we want to do? I've got a sign behind me, which is a Walt Disney quote that I love. It's kind of fun to do the impossible. My third book will be about dreaming up the impossible. So for me, it was, how do we get the business on the Oprah Winfrey show? We did it. How do we get on the Ellen DeGeneres show? We did it. We dream up these things that seem so ridiculous, but we rally a group of people to make them happen, and they forever become a part of our story.
Yeah, it seems like you really need to rally. I remember your book, like one guy in Vegas Strip with like some crazy wig is like a total weirdo, but if you have 10, it's like pretty cool and people are going to get on board.
Totally. Yeah, 100%.
Well, Brian, we've got through a lot today. I just don't know if you have any concluding thoughts. We have a lot of prospective franchisees that listen to our podcast, watch our YouTube channel, current franchisees, as well as just franchisors. Do you have any messages for one or all of those kind of categories?
I think for new entrepreneurs and new franchisees, new franchisors, it's a pretty special space to be in franchising. It's not an easy space, but I think the key is remembering that it's all about the system. What is that proven recipe, step by step by step, of how to do whatever brand you're building or being a part of? We often ask our franchise partners who've come into the business a year, 2 years into the business, and we say, what would you have done differently from the beginning? The answer is almost always the same. I wish I followed the system more. I wish I followed the system more closely. We will get people that come in that go, okay, yep, the system's great, but I'm going to try it my way. We've had someone try it.
Tried that. You've already tried that.
Exactly. So the system, I always say to people, the system isn't created by Brian Scudamore.
Yeah.
The system is created by all of our franchise partners that come together to say, we've got a better way here on how to do this. And when we listen and we make those changes happen, it makes a better system. So anyone else that comes in should just follow the system. So that's my advice, is make sure you've either got a system to follow. If you are a franchise partner, if you're a franchisor or a new entrepreneur, make sure that you're going to somehow put a system in place. And the best book in the world for that is The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. So check it out.
And it seems like you had some pretty deep business thoughts in a cabin earlier in your youth after reading that book. So would you say probably the most influential business book you've read?
You know what? It's my favorite business book. It's had the biggest impact on my business by far. So much so that Michael Gerber, the author, who I think's 83 or 84 years old today, we've maintained contact and become friends. He came in to see our office because he's wow, nobody has e-mythed their business quite like you guys. So very impactful book. I mean, I've referred that thing thousands of times because I believe in that book. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie, and it helps anybody streamline how to build out a systematized, organized business.
Well, Brian, I've really enjoyed today's conversation. I'm sure the listeners and those watching on YouTube are going to get a lot out of it. We'll definitely include all those links, including that offer to get a signed book. As long as I guess they write how they're going to maybe benefit from the book. Would that be the call to action?
Yeah, tell me why you want to read the book, and make sure you mention that you heard Patrick and I having a conversation. So yeah,
really enjoyed having you on Franchise Findings, and thanks again.
Yeah, thank you. And if you're ever in Vancouver, let's get in touch. We'll grab a beer.
Definitely. Same goes for Miami Beach.
Awesome.